I'd like to welcome you to BOI Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to BOI Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty.
Welcome to BOI Meets Wellness. Y'all, I'm extremely excited to jump in today's conversation with you all. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite topics, which is cannabis. Today's interview features one of the co-founders of SkyHigh Club LA, Shun Jefferson. SkyHigh Club LA creates a variety of organic products that allow their clients to take affordable first-class flights every time while giving an alternative to prescription drugs. My favorite SkyHigh products are their Fruity Pebble Rice Krispie Treats and that canna lotion, which used to be a cannabutter. It's an amazing product to help with the soreness of arthritis, joint pain, or even after a really, really hefty workout. But before we start this interview, I'm going to drop for y'all my wellness tip of the week. Building a morning routine, even in COVID-19, is so important. I understand many of our schedules and lives have been shifted due to COVID-19. Some of us are working. Many of us are now watching children at home or with loved ones that we normally wouldn't see as much because of school and work. It can become really easy to get unfocused and feel overwhelmed at this time. What has really supported me to get calm and focused during this time has been my morning routine. So my routine during COVID-19 has been, I usually wake up, and before I even jump out of the bed, I hold my partner and pray over both of us for being blessed with another day. I then make my detox water and I start to drink it. And after that, I usually spend about 30 to 45 minutes in prayer, affirmative celebration, gratitude, and meditation. After that, I check in with my body and decide whether, it's ready to get started for the day or get some movement in. And that can be exercise or even a nature walk throughout my neighborhood. Once all this is done and I've given myself a full cup of self-love, I then jump into the day. See, what I'm finding is that the slowdown of COVID-19 is a perfect time to slow down, but it's also a time when people can avoid that inner dialogue that we truly need. So do me a favor, try this. Try building your own morning routine that is anchored in fueling yourself before you serve anyone else. I say that again, do me a favor. Try building your own morning routine that is anchored in fueling yourself before you serve anybody else. Today's episode is brought to you by Mar Media Productions. Mar Media is a media production company that produces, publishes, and uplifts the stories, art, and journey of queer and trans people of color and the people who make our lives incredible. Thank you. Enjoy the interview. Hello, world. Welcome to BOI Meets Wellness. I am hella excited about today's interview. I'm sitting down with my boy, Shun Jefferson, to talk about SkyHigh Club and the amazing work they are doing to heal people with cannabis. So, Shun, welcome to BOI Meets Wellness. Welcome to the community. My first question for you is, what's your pronouns? Where are you currently living? And what brings you joy?
Hey, sorry about this. Got disconnected. But yes, I am happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the show today. I'm excited to talk to you guys a little bit about cannabis.
So tell me, what are your pronouns? Where are you from? And what brings you joy?
I am originally from Carson, California. I, she, her, and then I never remember the rest of them, but you got it.
What brings you joy?
And I'm sorry, I missed the last question.
What brings you joy?
Cannabis. That's always is the best answer. It is the truest answer, the most genuine answer. Cannabis.
So tell me a little bit about SkyHigh. Like, how did you come up with the name? Because I find SkyHigh Club, like, I just want to say it all the time, I can just see the
so it's actually pretty funny. So Kevin, who's my best friend, business partner, at the time he was unemployed, and I had taken a huge pay cut, and I decided to work at a smaller firm. And we were eating some edibles one day, and I was like, oh, these taste terrible. I was just telling him, I've never had edibles that actually have taste good. I always taste the weed in it every time. And I'm like, and it's like bitter. And I feel like I have to like drink water or juice or something to help swallow it down. And I always have these crazy paranoia highs, and I don't like that. I'm like, why can't I get the same high I get when I smoke? And so Kevin was like, I know how to make butter. I was like, you do? He's like, yeah. And so we decided one day that I was like, all right, well, you know what? Let's just make some butter. Let's figure out, let's see if we can just do it. And we were like joking around. And about 2 years ago in April, actually around this time, we decided we made the butter, and totally different than what it looks like now. It was like this white flaky, it just looked like coconut flake, and we were like, all right, we're going to try it out on our neighbor downstairs, because he was like a major pothead, and he's one of those guys that will just smoke and eat anything. Doesn't matter if it's indica or sativa. So we tried it. He tried it. He was so high. And I was like, and we looked at each other and we were like, I think we got onto something. And originally we just wanted to make edibles. We didn't really, think about the bigger picture of things. But while we were trying different, edibles and what would work, and, really learning how to bake as well too, and all of those things, none of it was working. And we kept going back to the drawing table. We were trying to come up with a logo without a name, and we were just really kind of lost. So we took a step back. We were reaching out to so many different people trying to get help. And I stumbled across this Kevin Hart interview. And, a lot of people talk about a lot of different people that have influenced them in their lives. And Kevin Hart is one that has influenced me.
Me too. I love his book. Have you read it?
Yes. He talked about a brand and creating a brand and having under that brand an umbrella of things that allows you to be able to operate in many different sectors. And so he was like, but you got to have your message. Each one of those sectors has to have a message, and it has to coincide with the big brand. And so, Kevin and I were smoking, and we were like talking, and we were like, we're like, well, what do we want to do with this company? Like, what message do we want to send? And we were like, what do people always think? Oh, they think that only Black people smoke weed. They think weed, jail, weed, it stinks, weed, crazy paranoia high. And so we were like, okay, so what we want to do is we want to, first of all, completely change that whole stereotype about cannabis. So we decided to just, in order to do that, you got to become really knowledgeable in it. So we took about 6 months before we even touched any products anymore, and before we made any butter, talked about any names, and we educated ourselves on everything about cannabis, everything about the industry, where the industry was going, what were the problems in the industry, what complaints people had. The main things were price, availability, and the taste and or quality and the effect. So those are the three things we decided to attack. We wanted to attack.
You assessed the problem, and then you figured out how you was going to fix it.
Exactly. And so we went from there and attacked the issue. And so once we realized, okay, now we figured out the problems, we know how to solve those problems. Now we got to come up with a name. And we were like, well, how high do we want people to be able to get? And we were like, and we were sitting in the car. All of our great ideas have actually either come on our balcony, or in the car. And we were sitting in the car. We were like, we want to be sky high. I was like, I want to be as high as the sky. And we were like, Kevin's daughter is named Sky. So we were like, well, we don't want people to assume that we named the company after her, because that's not the case. So we were like, okay. And then he's like, well, what about Fly High? And I was like, so we had about 3 different names. So what we actually did is we called about 15 different people. And we asked them, hey, question, what name do you like better? We didn't tell them what it was for or whatever it is. But yeah, it's actually a little unknown fact to everyone. But actually, you guys chose the name for the company. We didn't choose the name. So it was overwhelmingly chose. So we did 15 the first day, and then the next day we were like going through our phone, our address book, calling people. So I think overall we ended up asking about 60 people, and it was an overwhelming amount that went for the name SkyHigh. And so next thing you know, a few months later.
I see you. I see you. That's very, I mean, I think that's smart. And I think, like, you know, going to your customer base, going to your friends, going to the people that love you and letting them, you know, buy in. Like, people often look at buying into a company like in a monetary way, but really the mission and building your following and building your customer base is all about like getting their information. You know what I mean? Like getting the information that they love. So how have you been? I seen you on Instagram the other day working out. You know, this COVID-19 stuff is going on. The pandemic, are you working? Are you not working? I see you working out. How are you staying well during all
Let me tell you. So I am I am, what do you call it? An essential, non-essential employee. So obviously I do have a daytime job. Well, SkyHigh is my daytime job too, but I have a corporate job. I work in the legal field, and we do criminal and civil law. Some of the criminal courts are open. We don't have that many crazy criminal cases right now. So we're managing those okay. Civil has completely stopped. Yeah, all the civil courts have been closed. We've been issued notices, even as recently as yesterday, explaining that no appearances, no judge will be taking the bench. There'll be no jury trials for at least 60 days. Yeah, so most of our clients
has been slowed even more down.
Exactly. So we've been able to kind of manage our clients. You know, the problem is in civil, you're kind of okay. We don't have anything like emergency. We just had tons of trials that have now been pushed back. I've been blessed enough that my job has given me a month paid leave while this is happening. I work in downtown LA, which is the mecca for homelessness. So, and it's just been, it's actually been kind of scary. I have a heart disease. So for me, it's very important to stay clear and steer clear of anyone that might be infected or, has the potential to be infected themselves, because obviously it's a respiratory disease. But the good thing is, most people are unaware, but if you are a cannabis smoker, you smoke, your lungs are actually a little bit stronger than the normal person, than the average person who does not smoke. Your lungs, you have a capacity to be able to take in much more air than the average person. So for all the cannabis smokers, we are rising above in this pandemic, if you're unaware of that.
It's interesting you say that, because I was just seeing a news article yesterday. It was like, stop smoking. And then I'm like, what y'all gonna do? Why are all the dispensaries open? Why are people saying?
And for obviously nicotine, cigarettes, those things, yes, because when you're smoking, you're actually not bringing in anything healthy but the nicotine. So if you smoke a blunt, you smoke a joint, yeah, you have you have a small percentage of nicotine, which is less than 20% of whatever it is you're smoking. Unless you smoke a pipe, then there's obviously 0%. But then again, you got the butane from the glass, and any polys that might be contained in the glass when it was made, right? So whatever it is you're using to inhale the cannabis, you're taking maybe 10 to 20% negative along with 80% positive, right? But when you're smoking, so cannabis contains THC, and then THC is what we call cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are basically like antibodies. The best way to explain what those are antibodies. And what those do is those stick to certain things in your body, such as your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, and then they start attacking anything that's foreign on those particular organs. So, and it starts to kind of build a shield. So for our lungs, even though we might have a little bit of thickening of the walls from the nicotine that we've smoked, there's going to be a lot more healthiness that you're going to have in your lungs are a lot stronger than would say a person who doesn't work out, but doesn't smoke and doesn't drink. So you're at the capacity of a person who runs, because when you're inhaling, and then you're holding it, and then those cannabinoids are just attaching and they're attacking. So that's why you hear some cancer patients, they say that smoking it has helped me through my chemo because it's attached to those organs, and it's just healing and removing anything that's foreign to the body.
Nice. Thank you for acknowledging that and giving us that knowledge. So you've been working out. Do you work out while you're high? Do you suggest people do
Yes,
that?
it's actually suggested, not sativa, but it's actually suggested that you smoke indica a little bit before you work out, because it gives your body a little bit of relaxation, so your body can take a little bit more than you would normally be able to. Then you can pull and stretch a little bit more of the muscles. So we definitely do. But it's important to make sure you balance that with water, because you don't want to start your workout dehydrated. And you start your workout dehydrated, your form is all messed up, and your workout it's not good. The most important thing about working out is the form. So it's not necessarily the exercise itself, it's the form and creating, the perfect workout. But honestly, I've loved the fact, the thing about this pandemic that I've really appreciated is being an entrepreneur. We never have enough time to work on our own business. So I have the extra time to work on, SkyHigh and other projects that I've wanted to work on. I like having to get up and go straight to the living room and and I'm working and I'm doing something that I love immediately, and then the paycheck part comes a little bit later. I can work on that stuff later,
Yeah,
so
there's no interruption to it. So speaking of SkyHigh and entrepreneurship, what are your goals, right? Because I think that what I'm seeing with a lot of my young people that come to me, they're like, yo, Evolve, I want to start a business. And I'm always like, but okay, what are your overall goals, right? Because for me, when I started thinking about the podcast, doing media work, writing books, I'm like, all these are just multiple streams. I consider them like multiple buckets under my brand, right? And all might pop off, but a few might pop off. But if the streams are feeding each other, the machine keeps going. But I had to have the goal in my head of a larger goal, which my larger goal, I've said this a few times on the podcast, is to buy my old apartment building that I grew up in. So trying to level up to get to that. So can you tell the audience a little bit of your thought process through the goals for SkyHigh, short term and long term?
Yeah. So again, one of my biggest mentors has been Kevin Hart. It's the idea of creating a brand, right? So when Kevin and I talked, we said, who are we? When people look at us, when we look at ourselves, what do we see? What is the common theme between you and I that we share, that the world could share with us? How can they benefit from us? And so we looked and we thought and we said, we said, to be honest, this is how, and we both looked, we said, and when you do things like setting goals, it requires you to have a certain level of realness with yourself. You got to be open with yourself and you got to be honest with yourself, no matter how good or how bad, right? So we said, we always feel like we're left out. We always feel like we do for others and others forget about us quite often. And we said, we always feel like we're the forgotten ones. And even though we feel like we're the most important piece of the puzzle sometimes, I know it's terrible to say that out loud, but it's true. It's okay to feel that way, right? And so we said, wow, our brand is, we're the forgotten ones. We're always underrated, but we always win. We're never defeated though. Always underrated, but we're never defeated. And we said, that's the brand. That's the brand. Anyone that's ever felt left out, anyone that's ever felt second guessed, anyone that's ever been discounted, and that's everyone. Everyone has felt like that. So that was the brand, and that's our brand. Our brand is the forgotten ones. And under that brand, we wanted to create a couple of different streams, like you said. Not every stream is going to work out, but we want to develop every stream, right? So SkyHigh was the first on that list. And what we wanted to do with SkyHigh was provide education. We don't want to change anyone's mind. We don't want you to agree with us. We don't want you to think that we're right. What we wanted to do was we wanted to take the responsibility and give you all the information, accurate information that could be found, that could be researched, and allow you to make the decision on, for yourself, whether or not cannabis is what you've always thought it was. Is cannabis useful for your life, and how can it be? Do you know someone that cannabis can be useful in their life? So our goal was to provide, or is to provide, education. It's not to provide a product. It's not to provide, for us to create money, to get money and become millionaires. No, it's to provide education, because education is the key. How often do we do things and not know why we're doing it? How often do we not like things and not know why we don't like them? So our job is to provide education. Once we give you the information, you can now, with us of sound mind and body, decide whether or not that this is something that's vital to your life. And most often people have found that, cannabis is something that has been more useful than the prescription medication that they've been taking. So often because the person has on a white coat and they have a stethoscope around their neck, we assume that they are the God that we need to be listening to. And anything outside of that is taboo. And that's how we've been conditioned. So our job is to provide education, and that's what we've done with SkyHigh. And education will bring the people and to bring the masses. And along with that, people tend to take you seriously. They understand they understand your mission is not to provide a high. Your mission is not to get people on drugs. Your mission is not to take people away from what they've done in their daily life, what they're used to. Our job is to just give you education, let you know that there is an alternative if you so choose to do so. And that alternative can become your primary if done right.
Blessings on blessings, family. I feel you with the education. You definitely educated me, man, because I'm going to be honest with you. Before your edibles, I had a really bad experience. I think it was a Kiva bar. I don't know if you've had one of those before.
Yeah.
Chocolate bar. And I messed around with the dosage, and I ate a whole one or something like that, and had a whiteout like in my dad's car. Threw up all over it. It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. And after that, I was like, I'm not eating edibles ever again. And then, of course, you're like, try this. And I'm like, okay, because I trust you. You're knowledgeable. And it's been like some of the best experiences that I've had. And not just the edibles, but especially, which what I always tell folks is the body butter that y'all have. Because I was having so much joint pain, so much discomfort after workouts. And even when I had a foot injury and I used it, I mean, it changed my life. Like literally, like the fact that it took the pain away so quickly, and it took away the inflammation. I mean, it was like life changing. So thank you so much for all that you create.
Of course. And that's why we do this, for those stories. I mean, we don't even share half of the things that people have told us, but in a way, you guys have changed our lives as well. It's not just been, and I get emotional because it is an emotional thing,
to help and heal people, right? Yeah.
At little to no cost. You think about the amount of money you spend on co-pays for medication, time in going to the doctor. Sometimes the doctor never figures the answer out, right? And you're, years in pain and years in discomfort. I think we had a story of a woman who she needed a complete and total knee reco and one other steroid at the same time, and going just to get through daily life, just to get through it, just to get up in the morning. And we said, and she was completely against the idea of cannabis. Which is ironic, right? We can take Oxy, we can take, Percocet and all these things that
Xanax
are
all
10
day. They
times
singing
more
about the
harmful.
Xanax.
Right. We can take all these things, but we're afraid of a leaf. But because we're uneducated about it, and that's on purpose. But she used the cream, and she called me the next day crying. She said, I haven't been able to bend down and pick up a book in 10 years.
Wow.
It was to the degree that her doctor asked for our cream because she told him she didn't need a prescription refill.
Wow.
So like those are the things we live for. And with our edibles, it was important. What we wanted to do is we didn't want to make something that's already out there. Everyone has, brownies, and everyone has. What we wanted to do is bring something a little different that you eat in your everyday life. Most people, you see kids eating the goldfish every day. We wanted to bring the Fruity Pebble that wasn't as sweet as most of the Fruity Pebbles that are out there. Just give it a little something different. And the main thing was to also provide something that everyone could enjoy. How often are there products that, a vegan wants to try, but they can't, or, someone who is allergic to, marshmallows, but they can't, but they want to try. So we wanted to just allow ourselves to just be different and be okay with being different. And that's been a blessing thus far.
Y'all are doing an amazing job. Y'all are doing an amazing job. So for our audience, because, I know your brand, I know your products. What products do you have? What can folks check out? And for that person who's never had an experience with cannabis, what would you suggest for them on how they should try your products?
So I always tell people in general, it doesn't matter who you buy edibles from. It's important to find out with the edible what's in it. Most often, I will tell you about 8 times out of 10, most people, when they make edibles, they do it to save money. They're doing it with a money saving effort. So it's shake that's usually mixed with sativa, which is a upper, and a indica, which is a downer. So, for those who don't know the difference, sativa, I would compare it to light liquor, and indica, I would compare it to dark liquor. So that's kind of a way you can tell how each will affect you. So one is more so of a downer and a relaxer, and one is more so of an upper, but a paranoia high. And sometimes those are racially used too. But anyways, white people tend to use sativa because they like psychedelic drugs. Black people, Hispanics tend to use indica. But
I never thought about that. But that's very true. That's a true observation.
Yes, I tell you, up and down, I have studied this industry. But so what we do is we grow with one strain. We grow with Ghost OG. We break it down with that. We make everything with that one product or that one strain. It is one of the strongest OGs. That's why we use that. And it's one of the oldest strains around. So, and it takes a long time to grow, which means that the potency is high. It's one of the highest potencies. And that's just a little known fact. If anyone ever tells you that they got cannabis with 90 to 100% THC, that is not true. The highest amount of THC that you can get out of any flower, and the most potent flower, would be at about 32%. And that is the most sophisticated scientists would have to do that. But most often they're between 28 and 30% of THC.
Making me want to do like a marijuana trivia night. You got all the answers. We did a trivia.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Honestly, they even have tests out there where you can test your weed, and it'll let you. I know, and you can test it because sometimes when growers grow, they allow cobwebs to get into the weed, which will create like kind of meth and heroin type, additives into the cannabis. So if you test it, sometimes you'll see some people's weed will have not just cobwebs, it'll also have heroin properties and or meth properties. Yeah. So
okay. So the person should probably look and see what's in it.
If you go to a non-licensed shop that doesn't require a medical card, I would always suggest testing your weed.
Okay, so but if they get your edible, let's say, because people gonna hear this, they're gonna see the website dropped on the
we're very transparent. Yeah, we're very transparent.
What should they do with let's say they order the pebbles? Like, how would you say they attack that?
Okay, so for the Fruity Pebble, if you're a first timer, and this is for a person that doesn't smoke from 0 to 1 time a week, I would say a Fruity Pebble is our Fruity Pebbles are 4x4, and I would probably take less than a quarter of that if you're a 0 to 1%. 0 to 1 time a week smoker. Now, if you're a 3 to 4 time a week smoker, you're okay with going ahead and taking a quarter piece. Take a full-on quarter piece. And I can guarantee none of our products will allow you to have any paranoia high. You will not experience a paranoia high. So at bare minimum, if you quote unquote overdose, the worst that'll happen is you'll fall asleep and you'll need to have a bowel movement, and vomiting will not help, or drink water to hydrate yourself. I always recommend, before taking any edibles anyway, hydrate yourself in general. Drink tons of water, Gatorade, mix it up. Don't just keep it with the water. Mix it up. Drink,
electrolytes in.
Exactly.
I always tell people, it's almost like sometimes I feel that way even when I've smoked. It's like it feels like a workout, right? Like we're really trying to move our bodies.
Yeah. And the cool thing is about this particular strain is it is a metabolism killer, but it is a fat killer as well. So I can't. It's hard to explain, but we have a customer that he buys 10 bags of goldfish at a time, and since then he said that, it's weird. His entire diet has changed, and his metabolism has changed, and he's actually lost about 8 pounds.
Oh wow! Look at you.
He said, and his sex drive is high too, which is a common thing we've heard from the edibles, the goldfish in particular, and I think the Fruity Pebble. We hear that those two are kind of, those are aphrodisiacs in a way.
So I'm about to ask you a hard question, and I know it's gonna be hard because I have 2 dogs, so it's hard for me to pick which kid I love the most. But what's your favorite SkyHigh product?
The lotion, the body butter, and that's simply because I have nerve damage in my left. I'm left-handed, and I have nerve damage in my left hand, in my left arm. I actually have a tumor that can't be operated on in my spine, so it's caused major damage on my left hand. And I'm if it were not for the lotion, actually I am the reason why the lotion got created. So I was experiencing, Kevin will tell you. So a lot of people always laugh at our Instagram videos because I'm never driving. You guys always see Kevin driving. And the reason is because I have nerve damage in my left. I've just never spoken about it. I just, just manage it.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
And it's the pain level, it can get up to like a 9. And I've been managing it without the lotion, the body butter, for at least 3 years. And the pain has been so bad that I would take 3 to 4 Motrin 800s at a time. So when we started working with the cannabis and making the edibles, and obviously before you start working on the safety protocols with the gloves and everything's with your hands. So the oil was getting into my hands and I was forgetting, the pain was gone. I was like, I said, this can't be from the oil. This can't be from the coconut oil. This can't be. And so I looked and my aunt said, well, I oil my hair with coconut oil. Then I started looking at all the things you could do with coconut oil. And I was like, wait, oh my God. I was like, well, why don't we make lotion? I was like,
Nice.
and at first we said the body butter. Let's make the body butter. Made the body butter. And when we first made it, it was liquidy. It was disgusting. We actually sent it out to somebody. It was gross. And then they were like, I think it's molded. So it took about 3 times. And then we finally got the process down. And so that's probably my favorite product, honestly. But the body butter transitioned into the lotion. And the reason that transitioned into lotion, we still have the body butter, which we make upon request. But we transitioned into the lotion because the body butter was a really great seller, but it was hard to explain it to white people. I'm just going to say that.
Wow.
They don't put on lotion enough for us to understand what body butter is.
Yeah.
So to explain
that makes sense.
And then try to, the properties, and they're like, is body butter that glitter stuff? And, so it was hard to explain it. And then, they don't do too well with grease type things. And so, we transitioned to the lotion, which has been amazing. And it's actually, we're actually almost sold out of the lotion. We can barely keep it in stock, but that's my favorite product though. And the goldfish next.
So I was talking to my tax accountant, and that episode is going to drop before yours a couple of weeks ago. And she was telling me that during a recession, during pandemics, right? Because we're seeing an economic shift, that vices, that's where the money is at, right? Yep. So have you, since this COVID-19 pandemic has started, have you seen like an upsell in your products? Have things shifted for you?
Yes, actually. So coincidentally, we actually, we are absolutely busy. And it's been a blessing that I've had the time off work, because I don't know how we might have had to hire somebody. Coincidentally, right before this happened, we did a smoke and paint with the Muses, which was
shouts out to Madam Muse, amazing.
Yes,
job. We'll drop.
Yes, they are amazing, well. And we did an event for them and gave them a gift bag, and they were so amazing and dope and gracious and shouted us out 2 days before the pandemic happened.
Look at God.
Right. So, and shouts out, I ended up having to just send them another thank you, because I couldn't literally, between them shouting us out and all of the shops, a lot of the shops closing, and us offering different ways for people to get their products, not just in California. We have soared. It is, we have not had to do much marketing online, which is very difficult in general. People are unaware that Instagram and Facebook, marketing through Instagram is controlled through Facebook, and they do not allow the sale or promotion of cannabis of any kind. The federal government still looks at it as a deadly narcotic. And for that reason alone, Facebook, nor Instagram, nor Twitter allows you to be able to market the sale of cannabis. So we have to get really unique and really, really particular in how we post things. I will tell you, in the past year, we've had at least 30 posts taken down. Yeah. We had our account blocked 4 times.
Yeah, you seen when we were doing that event, we had our tickets on Eventbrite and we shouted you out, and they took it off immediately.
Yes.
We ended up just having to put it on my website, which, was even better. Now that I think about it in hindsight, drive people to the brand, and still use unique language when we did it on Instagram.
Exactly.
I couldn't say what you were that it was a cannabis product. I just could say, treated by SkyHigh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
Instagram on was SkyHigh, but I couldn't.
Oh my gosh.
The word
this is crazy. Yeah. The marketing and the reason, and a lot of it is because of that, but as well, with the law passing, they've allowed, these big corporations to come in, and the government has to protect these big corporations because that's where they're getting the kickbacks from. That's how these propositions are getting paid for by these big cannabis companies that are coming in. That's why the quality of cannabis has gone down, but the price has gone up. And that's where people like Kevin and I have been able to soar, because we focused on the quality of our products and we've not gouged on our price. And in fact, during this time, we've actually offered a discount because we understand that there are a lot of people not working.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to, I'm being paid on paid leave. Kevin's not on paid leave. He's not getting paid during this time, but we still wanted to provide something for you guys to be able to, one, get through this quarantine, not being anxiety ridden, two, not being gouged for, for products, and three, not feeling like you have nowhere else to go because our prices are so high. So we've actually left our prices the same. We've offered a discount, and Karma has just been repaying us ever since.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I have a couple more questions, and then we're going to jump into the last segment of the show, which is a little bit more fun. My first to last, that's how it goes. First to last question for you is, how's it to work with your best friend? Like a lot of folks will say, like, don't mix business and pleasure, but it really seems, when I met Kev, number one, I went in calling Kevin Kev. That should show you.
Right.
How comfortable I felt, but I just felt the love and the positive energy between y'all. So, like, how has that been? Are there any challenges? What advice would you give our listeners who are thinking about starting up something with their homies?
So I normally wouldn't advise it, actually. I don't advise it. I don't think it's a good idea. Why Kevin and I work, is nothing but God, to be honest. We actually met in community service, and we laughed. I had a DUI. He had a gun possession charge. He was in community service for like 30 years. I'd never seen anybody in community service as long as he was. And I had skipped my earlier community service. And so that's how I got stuck there. So I was like, okay, all right, I'll do my community service. So we both were obviously victims of the system. Poor decisions, drinking and driving, obviously, and, having a gun. Those were poor decisions, but we were both in the system. And one day we started talking, and we connected over Fresno, right? Who connects over Fresno? But we connected over Fresno. And ever since that day, we just have been like, we really are yin and yang. And it's funny, we're exactly 6 months apart.
Wow.
6 months and 6 hours apart. Yeah.
I didn't know that. So that makes Pisces?
He's a Pisces, yes.
Yeah.
So, Pisces.
I felt that energy.
Yeah. Pisces, Leo, just, it literally is yin and yang. He's right-handed, I'm left-handed. Like, we're the same. We wear the same shoe size. We wear the same clothes. The only thing I don't know why I didn't think about this. Our partnership works because we don't like the same type of women.
Ashe. I see that.
So, yeah, that's why that works. So, there's never any competition. He's water, I'm fire. He knows I'm a little neurotic, and he's okay with that. He's not usually like in the forefront, and I'm okay with that. We're both okay with where we are with things. He pushes me to relax and chill and not be so rigid and in this, it needs to get done this way. We have to do it, and blah, 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 blah. And I make him more like that. So it has honestly worked. He's the best roommate I've ever had. I've never had a person like he's, sometimes, you can't even live with people like, but you can still be friends with them. No, he's a great person all the way around. And, I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for the things that he does. But SkyHigh and Forgotten Ones would not be here if it were not for him.
Shouts out to Kevin.
For sure.
To Kev, big Kev on the ones and twos.
Yeah, and it's funny. Yeah, so Kev. I don't think anyone's called him Kevin since we've been friends. So yeah.
So my last question for you before we let folks know how to get in contact with you is you spoke about it a little bit earlier, the challenges, right, with advertisement. But what other challenges do you think are in stepping into this field? Because I know, we got a lot of downtime right now with COVID. So there's a lot of people online looking up, how do I grow? What do I do? What can I start?
Yeah.
I think that this podcast gives folks, the celebrations, which what we're talking about. But are there some other challenges that people should think about if they're thinking about starting a cannabis business?
Oh yeah. And just with business in general, I think making sure you have your proper point people to go to. If any tax questions, you make sure you have a proper cannabis tax person to ask those questions. Deciding whether or not you want to be a licensed cannabis company or not. Those are things you need to know. So you want to make sure that you have the proper point people in those areas of your business to help you make sure you're making the right decisions. Educating yourself, never stop learning, never feel like you know everything. I feel like the moment you think the cannabis industry changes so much, it changes daily. Every state isn't the same. My advice for anyone who wants to start a cannabis company is, if you don't want to be the best, don't do it. If you don't want to put the time in to understand all the laws that are associated with cannabis, don't do it. If you don't want to learn the positive and the negative effects of cannabis, don't get into the industry, because you have a responsibility, not just to your customer base, but to yourself. To understand how the grow process works, and understand when's the best time of the year to grow, understand where to grow, what products to use, what type of strain to grow. All those things are very important. And I think it's important to always reach out. That's one of the biggest things I would say is going to be your saving grace, is reaching out to people in the industry, looking at what people, before you did, so you can know what mistakes they made and how to avoid those. Anyone who I have people on a daily basis to ask me like super technical questions. And sometimes I don't know the answer, and I have to go look for it. And I tell them, hey, you know what? Let me try to find the answer to this and I'll get back to you. But the first step is asking a question. That we don't like to ask questions. We like to just figure it out, fuck it up, and then, say, okay, well, I know what to do second this time. Ask for help. It's okay. I always ask. My information is pretty much out there. You can DM me, email me. But if you're starting a business, it's probably more professional to start by emailing rather than DMing, as you set the tone. This is where I'm coming from. This is what I want to do. I think, but before you get started with any of that, what's your mission? What's your goal? What do you want to provide to the consumer? If you don't know that, then there would be no reason to grow up for self-consumption. And self-consumption, no business ever survives self-consumption.
That's very true. You can't eat up all of the treats, man. You can't eat up all the treats. So speaking of contacting you, how do folks get in contact with you? How do they get these delicious edibles, this amazing cannabis lotion? Okay. How do folks do that? What can they do?
They can. You can. Oh, what's really cool is we're gonna on starting in June, all merchandise that anybody buys, you will be able to, in this, I'm talking about shirts, hoodies, any of those items that are bought starting June 1st, they will have a barcode on the merchandise, and you'll be able to scan. It'll take you directly to our website where you'll be able to look at products and things like that.
I see you trying to get on your Nipsey Hussle vibe. I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah, so all merchandise, that'll have the website. But in the meantime, right now, you can reach us by Instagram, which is SkyHigh _Club LA. That is the first time I've gotten that right. That's SkyHigh _Club LA. And then our website is www.skyhighclubcaligroup.com. And you can, we have free shipping. We free delivery. We're very lenient about deliveries locally and, in LA County. And if you have any questions, if you want to know how to start a cannabis business, any questions about growing in general, we're very transparent. We don't hide any secrets. It's not a secret. There's 12 different loaves of bread. Just set yourself apart. I'll give you the secrets. I don't hold anything. We're very transparent. Our goal is to not just do this and we be the only person that provides. No, we want to create other people like ourselves that who want to go out and give something that helps improve someone else's life. So those are the type of people that we want to help create. So we don't hold secrets. We don't keep it to ourselves. We aren't scared that you're going to go out and do a better job than us. No. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can even call us 951-376-3772. That's our business line. But yeah, best way is probably email at skyhighclubla@gmail.com. That's skyhighclubla@gmail.com.
Dope. All right. Well, this is our last segment. It's called Boy Talking Hop. So I'm gonna ask you. It's kind of like fill in the blank, right? It's kind of to pick your brain and to see what comes first. You smoked before this, so this show be interesting. I can't wait.
Yeah. Oh man, my crazy about to. Y'all about to see the way I think. Here we go.
So the way it works is like if I was to say, my favorite TV show is, you would fill in the blank. So I would say my favorite TV show right now probably is Ozark. That's what I've been watching on Netflix.
That's my shit right now too.
So folks, check that out. So let's get it started. Boy Talking Hop. Wellness is
mental health.
Love is
healthy.
Ownership is
pride.
My favorite cannabis strain is
Bob Marley. Indica.
Yummy. If I could speak to anyone in the world, dead or alive, I would speak to who, and we would do what?
That's a good one. Damn. Wow, this is a good one. Okay. If I could speak to anybody dead or alive, who would it be?
You making me feel like the genie, like I might make it come true. I feel this manifestation. Let's speak it.
I know, right? I actually have two. I would do can I choose two?
Yep, you could choose two. Go on, Leo.
Okay. Okay. So the first I would talk to would be I would actually talk to my mother. And simply because we've never had a conversation, obviously. She died when I was young and I grew up in the foster care system. So I would definitely have a conversation with her because I do feel like sometimes spirits move on and I would like to have a conversation so she knows like I'm okay and I understand why things happen and, blah, blah, blah. And the second person I would actually like to talk to would be Coretta Scott King. And the reason is because she lived through 4 decades after her husband was assassinated. And I don't think that their marriage was as great as we all assumed it was. And I would like to know what she did to become independent and become Coretta Scott, because she's no longer seen as Dr. King's wife. She's her own person. And I would like to have a conversation and I'd want to know like how and what ways she moved to protect herself and going forward to create her own legacy.
That's powerful. That's powerful, man. So my favorite book is?
My favorite book is Antoine Fisher.
What about your favorite food? My favorite food is?
French fries.
That's real.
French fries. I could eat it every day for the rest of my life.
Money is?
Access.
And last but never least, Sean is?
A story.
You're so powerful, bro. Thank you. Thank you so much for this interview, man.
Yo, this is Shun. I am Boy, born obviously incredible.
Thanks for listening to Boy Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at Boy Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time, go be incredible.